The courtroom was packed, the air thick with whispers and judgment. Reporters scribbled in their notepads while the faint hum of ceiling fans did little to ease the tension. At the defense table sat Malik Carter, a small 8-year-old boy with wide, intelligent eyes that didn't miss a single detail. Beside him, his mother, Tanya, nervously twisted a handkerchief in her hands. Her uniform from the wealthy Jackson estate looked out of place in the grand marble hall, a silent reminder of where she came from, and how far she didn't belong here. The judge entered, his robe sweeping the floor, and the murmurs died down. The case was simple on paper. A domestic worker accused of stealing a diamond bracelet. The employer's lawyer had shown up in a tailored suit and smug smile. Tanya's public defender hadn't shown up at all. When the judge asked if the defense was ready, Malik's mother lowered her head in shame. But before the silence could stretch, a small, steady voice rose from beside her. "Your Honor," Malik said, standing up on shaky legs, "may I speak for my mother?" Gasps rippled through the courtroom. The judge's brow furrowed. "Son, this isn't a school project. Do you understand where you are?" "Yes, sir," Malik replied, his chin lifting just a little. "I'm in a courtroom, the place where truth matters." The judge leaned back, a hint of surprise softening his expression. The room fell silent again. Even the prosecutor stopped flipping through his papers. Something about the boy's calmness, his quiet certainty, demanded attention. After a long pause, the judge finally said, "Very well, young man. You may speak, but choose your words wisely." And with that, the trial took a turn no one could have ever predicted. Malik took a deep breath and stepped toward the center of the courtroom. The polished wooden floor creaked softly under his small sneakers. He was so little that when he stood at the podium, only the top of his head was visible above it. The judge nodded to a bailiff, who gently placed a wooden crate for him to stand on. Malik climbed up, clutching his little blue notebook, the one he carried everywhere, filled with handwritten notes and questions written in uneven but determined handwriting. When he opened it, the courtroom went completely silent. "Your Honor," he began, his voice trembling at first, "the bracelet my mom's accused of stealing was found in the kitchen trash. But my mom doesn't clean the kitchen. She works in the library and the guest rooms. That means someone put it there. Someone who wanted her to be blamed." The prosecutor shifted uncomfortably in his chair, his confident smirk fading. Malik continued, flipping a page. "According to Section 12 of the Property Act, you can't accuse someone without physical evidence that connects them to the item. There are no fingerprints, no witnesses, no proof." Gasps rippled across the courtroom. The jury leaned in. The judge raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed. "Son," he asked gently, "where did you learn all this?" Malik looked up with calm sincerity. "At the library, sir. I read law books while my mom worked. She told me knowledge can protect you when no one else will." The judge glanced at the prosecutor, then back at the boy. "You're saying this accusation doesn't stand under the law?" "Yes, sir," Malik replied firmly. "And it's wrong to punish someone just because they're easy to blame." For the first time that morning, the courtroom wasn't looking at a poor housekeeper's son. They were looking at a child who understood justice better than most adults in the room. Malik's small hands trembled slightly as he turned another page in his notebook, but his voice had grown steady, confident. The paper was filled with lines written in crayon and pencil, words underlined and circled, pieces of truth he had carefully pieced together night after night while waiting for his mother to come home. He cleared his throat and began reading. "Mrs. Jackson said the bracelet went missing on Tuesday night," he said, looking directly at the prosecutor. "But my mom didn't work that night. She had the flu. I remember because I made her soup." The prosecutor tried to object, but Malik didn't stop. He flipped to another page. "And your own report says the bracelet was found Wednesday morning, before my mom came back to work. So how could she have taken it?" A murmur rippled through the crowd. One juror leaned forward, nodding slightly. The judge tapped his pen thoughtfully against the desk. Malik turned toward the witnesses' bench, where Mrs. Jackson, his mother's wealthy employer, sat with folded arms and an icy stare. "Ma'am," Malik said politely, "you said you last saw the bracelet on your vanity, right?" Mrs. Jackson hesitated. "Yes, that's correct." Malik pointed to a photograph in the evidence folder, one the bailiff had placed on the table earlier. But this picture shows your vanity with the bracelet already missing. Taken Monday night, not Tuesday. You posted it online. A shocked silence filled the room. The prosecutor blinked, caught off guard. That's irrelevant, he stammered. The judge leaned forward, his tone sharp now. No, counselor. That's very relevant. Malik closed his notebook slowly, his eyes glistening. All I want, he said softly, is for my mom to go home. She works hard. She doesn't steal. I just want people to believe her. The room fell silent again. Even the judge, a man who'd seen every kind of case, sat still, stunned by the bravery and brilliance of the child who had just dismantled an entire accusation with nothing but love, memory, and the truth. For a long moment, no one in the courtroom spoke. The sound of Malik's small, trembling voice still echoed in the air, heavier than any testimony the judge had heard in years. Tanya sat frozen, tears streaming down her cheeks as she watched her son, her little boy who still slept with a stuffed bear at night, standing tall in the middle of a courtroom, defending her like a man twice his age. The judge slowly removed his glasses and placed them on the bench. Mr. Prosecutor, he said, his tone quiet but firm, do you have any physical evidence, fingerprints, DNA, witnesses, that link this woman to the crime? The prosecutor shuffled his papers, his confidence gone. No, Your Honor. But nothing, the judge cut him off sharply. You brought a woman to trial based on assumptions, and an 8-year-old boy just exposed the holes in your case better than any attorney I've seen. The courtroom gasped. Even the jury exchanged glances of disbelief, some smiling faintly, others shaking their heads in wonder. The judge turned to Malik. Son, what's your name again? Malik Carter, sir. Well, Malik Carter, the judge said with a smile tugging at his lips, you've done something extraordinary today. He glanced at the jury box. I don't think we need to deliberate very long on this one. A juror stood up. We don't, Your Honor. We all see it clearly now. Tanya covered her mouth, unable to hold back a sob. Malik reached for her hand and squeezed it tightly. The judge's gavel came down with a firm crack. Case dismissed. Mrs. Tanya Carter is found not guilty of all charges. For a heartbeat, the room was silent. Then applause erupted. Soft at first, then louder, as people rose to their feet. Reporters scribbled furiously, and even the bailiff smiled as he opened the gate for Malik and his mother to leave. The prosecutor slumped in his chair, defeated. The boy he'd dismissed as a child had just taught him a lesson in truth and integrity that would haunt him for years. When the gavel struck for the last time, Tanya collapsed into her son's arms, sobbing with relief. Malik held her tightly, his tiny hands pressing against her back, whispering, It's over, Mama. You're free. The people around them clapped, some with tears in their eyes, while others simply stared in stunned silence, unable to comprehend how a child had turned the entire courtroom upside down with nothing but courage and truth. The judge stood, removing his robe, and descended from the bench. As the applause faded, he walked over to Malik, who still held his mother's hand. The great hall seemed suddenly smaller, quieter, as if everyone knew they were witnessing something special. The judge knelt down until his eyes met Malik's. Son, he said softly, I've practiced law for over 30 years. But today, you reminded me why I started, for justice, not power. You have a gift, one that can change lives. Malik looked down, shyly clutching his notebook. I just wanted to help my mom, he said. The judge smiled, his voice gentle but filled with conviction. And you did more than that. You reminded everyone in this room what justice really means. He pulled out a business card and pressed it into Malik's small palm. When you're ready, come see me. I'll make sure you get the education you deserve. The world needs minds like yours. Reporters swarmed near the exit, cameras flashing as Malik and Tanya made their way through the crowd. One journalist crouched down to his level and asked, Malik, how did you know what to say in there? Malik blinked, his voice innocent yet profound. The truth doesn't need big words. It just needs someone brave enough to speak it. Outside, sunlight poured over the courthouse steps. Tanya knelt to face her son, brushing his cheek with trembling fingers. You saved me, she whispered. He smiled, his eyes shining. You saved me first, Mama. Every day. They walked away hand in hand. A mother and her son, leaving behind not just a courtroom, but a story that would inspire the world. The day an 8-year-old boy taught grown men the true meaning of justice.